We were in negotiations.
Investing in real estate. They're winning, they're making money.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Real Estate Educators Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Amolsch. I'm so glad you're here with me today. This podcast is so much fun to do because I get to help real estate investors and real estate educators. So whether you're a real estate investor or you're looking for real estate investor clients, this is the podcast for you. Please, if you haven't yet, give me a 5-star review. We could really use the help. My good friend Gary here taught me on his podcast that I listen to, that is the currency for this show. You could pay me by not paying me at all. Just give me that 5-star review and help me out. Appreciate that. Gary, so we just had a great conversation before we hit record here, and I am so excited to hear your story because you are the perfect guest for what we're trying to accomplish here. Keller Williams' background, educating investors and agents all over the country, years and years of experience. Now you have a national team of real estate agents, and you really do focus on the investor client. You like that repeat business and the number of transactions you can get from your investors. So dying to hear your story, man. How's it going?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Kevin, for that great introduction. And we it's interesting because we just finished hosting you on our podcast, and I'm thinking, boy, I got some big shoes to fill here. So, it's interesting fun. How we have similar backgrounds. I mean, even the time frames, it's just it's like we've traveled 2 parallel journeys, and some different factors. I never did serve in the military, but I did serve the military as a contractor. I worked for NASA on the space shuttle project at Fort Langley Air Force Base, and then I guess I can say it now. It's been long enough. I actually was had top secret security clearance as a contractor for the Navy, tracking Soviet subs. So I've got that. Plus my family, my brother, my father. I mean, I was the oddball. I was the one that didn't serve directly, but I did serve indirectly. And I've always we lived on base growing up. Just always, and it benefited by going to the base even in college to still buy my groceries. And of course, we bought beer because we were in college, all from the Norfolk Naval Base for a fraction of what we would have paid out in the consumer world. But in any case, that was really the only difference. Everything else was like, boy, this we're like, cosmic twins or something when it comes to real estate, So
well, let's hear it. So how'd you get, why real estate? How'd you get in?
Yeah, well, I knew I'll give you the shorter version as I can. When I was a kid, I found myself really fascinated with houses because my parents had split up and we moved into a little apartment. And a lot of my friends had houses, and they go, man, when I grew up, I'm going to have a house. So I would start drawing houses, but not the floor plans, just what I thought the house should look like from the front. And in my mind, I knew what the floor plan looked like, but I didn't know how to design a floor plan. Well, oddly enough, my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, was a college professor. One of the subjects he taught was architecture. And so he showed me how to use the scales and the symbols and everything to draw floor plans. And I was 8 years old. And my mother bought me the T-square, the board, the drawing board, everything, the compasses, everything I needed. I started designing houses when I was 8 years old. I still have all those designs, by the way, and I still design houses to this day. But I applied to Virginia Tech University for the School of Architecture. Now, in high school, we had moved way out in the country where most kids did not go to college. In fact, about a third of the kids didn't even graduate high school. It was all farm country. So I was one of the few kids that went to college, and my counselor never suggested that I apply for the School of General Studies and then pick my major once I'm in. So the School of Architecture invited me down. I had great SAT scores, so they said, you really just didn't make the cut, but we like you so much, we wanted to speak to you in person and encourage you to apply for general studies and then convert into architecture later on. Well, it was too late. I'd already agreed to go to Old Dominion University, where I studied computer science. And there is where I met my roommate, Socrates, as a freshman. His father was a Greek immigrant. And when we graduated college, I'm going to cut out all the fun part, the beer and the parties and all this stuff.
Although I do want to hear about that, but understand.
So 4 years later, miraculously, we graduated, and we said we're going to go to rent a place down on the beach because we were 20 minutes from the Virginia beach. His dad said, "No, you're not. You're gonna buy a house, and I'm gonna help you." And he did. He never gave us a dime, but he showed us exactly how to buy it. And this was January 1986. And people who were old enough to remember, interest rates were still really high. And back then, yeah, mortgages were still assumable. And by the way, this is interesting. Mortgages are still assumable today, guys. The difference is you just have to qualify for them. You have to qualify like you qualify for your own first mortgage. But if you qualify, you can assume somebody else's mortgage. So in any case, we assumed a veteran's mortgage. It was a VA mortgage, refinanced his second that he had, and then gave him a third note for the remaining equity. So we had three mortgages on the property, 4-bedroom ranch. We rented out the other 2 bedrooms to two other guys who paid our rent. So instead of, renting and wasting our money that way, thankfully we listened to his dad. And he didn't give us the fish. He taught us how to fish. And 2 years later, I got married. And Sox, I thought it'd be a good idea for Sock to buy me out because now I was married, and if we got divorced, then it could be a big mess. So Sock bought me out, and I had in total about 3,000 into the property. And in 2 years, we had a a real estate agent come by and say, "Well, we think it's worth this much now." It increased in value we bought it for 63. It was worth about 76 at the time. I know these numbers sound crazy, but this is what it was at the time. So I got about $8,000. And I used that to buy my next house with my wife Susan, which was closer to the beach, for 85,000, brand new 3-bedroom ranch. Now, I'll give you a real quick side story here. One of my first lessons was when you own real estate, unless there's some really, really compelling reason to sell it, keep it because, you know, probably we stayed in there for 3 years. No, let's see. We stayed at house for 3 years. That's right. In 91, we moved. In 2000, roughly three-ish, I looked that house up on one of the websites to see what it would be worth, and the person who bought it for me had just sold it for $350,000. Right?
Oh my
So I'm like,
gosh.
oh
That's
man,
why you don't
I'm
ever do that. Don't ever, bad advice. Don't ever go back and
yeah,
look at a house that you sold all those
I
years
know.
later. You're going to be
Yep,
pissed, right?
yep. But what it did is it fired me up because I started buying real
Oh, that'll
estate.
work. Yeah.
We moved to Western Pennsylvania, and this is where my story turned. I was 35 years old. I went out and bought 10 properties in that year of my 35th year. Some were singles, some were duplexes, some were fourplexes. On average, it was 3 units. We ended up with 30 units by the end of the year. And I was bringing enough cash flow in that matched my corporate take home pay. At that time I was a corporate vice president, not a retail vice president, corporate. I was actually doing pretty good. And had 5 weeks vacation, the nice corner office with a view of the rivers, the whole 9 yards. But I was really unhappy. I felt like I was dying spiritually at that office. I mean, I couldn't take it anymore. So a year and a half later, I went and told my boss. I said, I'm going to retire. I don't need to work here anymore. And he knew I had some properties, and he laughed. He said, "I got to ask you, how many do you have?" At the time, I think it went up from 30 units to like 48 units or something like that. Eventually went to 70 something units. Then I bought a big apartment complex and ultimately ended up with 250 units in a few short years. Um, and I never looked back. There were some trying moments. There can be some stressful moments. I know this was a podcast, but believe it or not, guys, I've got a head full of gray hair that each hair is related to an individual uh, tenant story. you know, I mean, I could go on and on about all that, but at the end of the day, having those properties ended up serving me very well. It gave me the foundation to launch other businesses. Like I launched my own brokerage. I had a property management business. I had a title business. I had an appraisal business. And ultimately I started teaching. I was teaching investors already just on a small local scale, one-on-one. I'd take them on, show them how to buy the properties and then analyze them and so forth. They became lifelong clients, and they helped me launch my brokerage company, by the way, and my property management company and my title company. And then we sort of went public. I didn't sell the company. I eventually did, but going public, I mean, we started marketing and advertising and promoting, got on local radio, and it just took off. And I learned another big lesson in life. And this is from Robert Kiyosaki. I'd studied underneath him, met him in person at Lake Tahoe one year, and had a great spend a day with him. And I said, I don't know if I got this right, but I still invest. I have a lot of properties, but I'm actually making more money on my businesses. I leverage the properties to launch businesses. And he said, no, you got it exactly right.
Yeah.
He said, the four corners of the cash flow quadrant, right? E employee, S self-employed, I investor, B business owner. He said, it's the business builders that make the big bucks. And I never forget that. And so to this day, I've built now 7 businesses, and I'm still making money on some of those businesses, even though I sold them years before, because I structured the exit so that I would get a residual for a long, long time. Um, and a great lesson in life, if you have the entrepreneurial gene, leverage your real estate to launch other businesses that you're really passionate about. Don't just do a business because you want to make money. I promise you, you'll hate it. If you do it because you love it, the money will come. It's an age-old lesson in life, and I had to learn a lesson a hard time the first time out. But I learned a lesson. Thankfully, the lesson my mom taught me in college: study what you love, and money will never be a problem, and you'll always be happy. And I didn't do that. I studied computer science. Nothing against computer science. I did make good money, but I got burned out on it. With real estate, Kevin, I wake up today, it's 60 years old, just as excited as I did when I was 35 years old. I had the same pip in my step. I'm really living the dream life.
I
And it all
love
started
this.
investing as a 23-year-old.
Just
It's right for
one
that moment.
house. Start with one. Just start with one
That's
house,
it,
right?
man. Half of
So
a
right now
house, half a house.
you're living a
Yeah.
dream. Like, okay, so we have more viewers. You'd be surprised at this probably on our
Mhm.
YouTube channel, because we've been doing YouTube for quite some time, and we're
Yeah.
the podcast itself. The audio is still fairly new, so we have a lot of viewers, and so they can actually see your gray hair, but they could also see
Mhm.
the backdrop. So for those
Yeah.
of you that can't see, it is beautiful.
Yeah.
Here, show us the
Yeah.
yeah. So
There's a
big deck. I'll try to describe this for you. Big deck with the
yeah.
I mean, that's got to be what is that, a 900-foot deck or something?
It's over 1,200 feet.
1,200-foot
Yeah.
deck with
Yeah.
complete bliss behind it. Just a big
Yeah.
forest and trees. And so this is what real estate has created for
Yeah.
you. Now I could take this conversation in so many different directions with that opening. You have done so much in your career. You've helped
Mhm.
so many people. My
Mhm.
question what I would like to ask, so Sock was your roommate, and
Yep.
his father was like, because you brought up Rich Dad Poor Dad, or at least Kiyosaki,
Yeah.
his dad was kind of
Yeah.
like your rich dad a little bit, wasn't he?
He was. I tell you what, I mean, you couldn't. This was the crazy thing. Orientation before freshman year, Doc and I never knew each other. We met each other during orientation, and we're like, we got to be roommates, man. It was like perfect blood brothers. We go back to the student center, and our parents are talking to each other. It's like, this is. So we called student housing and said, yep, we'll switch your roommates. You guys are gonna be roommates. And I tell you that if I could pinpoint one thing in my life that was the pivotal moment in terms of business and finance, that was it. That was the key one
That's
moment.
amazing.
Yep.
Like, so I'm assuming, as successful as you are and the high achiever and all of this, that you believe in the law of attraction. I have to
Oh yeah.
assume that. So
Yeah.
this is totally the universe bringing this together without, I mean, you're just open to it. You're not asking
Yep.
necessarily for it. You're just open to it, and look at what happens.
Yep.
But you took
Yeah.
action. That's what a lot of investors don't do. Maybe we can go there. So
Yeah.
you have a lot of students, you have a lot of agents. How do you help them, or real estate investors that you're trying to help, take the action like you did?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, that's probably one of the best questions ever. So I used to teach investors, and I built a brokerage because I thought I really need to teach the agents how to work with the investors, because that's why I got my license. The agents were not trained to work with wonderful people, but their brokerages were not teaching them about investing. So I said, I'm going to beat that. So I created a brokerage that was based on the premise that we're teaching our agents how to invest so that they can work with the investors. And you'd have thought I invented pizza and beer. I mean, we grew sixfold during the recession years. I eventually merged that with Keller Williams, and I eventually left Keller Williams. That was 3 years ago, and a wonderful company. I didn't leave there because I was mad, guys. I left there because it was the right business decision. So now I've got a national team of agents in 37 states, and they don't pay me one dime for training, for leads, for any of that kind of stuff, because I lead with education. That's our mantra. We lead with education. Right education plus the right action plus the right, sorry, right education. And this, I should know this because it's my, the right education plus the right information plus the right action equals the right results. So I learned this when I was at KW training, that the people I was teaching, and back then they had to pay me up front. That was the model. They had to pay me for me to train them. Whether they produce or not was a different story. I knew for my own math because I taught everybody one-on-one that 20% of them would take action and 80% would not. And I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. That means 80% of them paid for something they didn't even use, right?
And it's sad. So
And of the
sad.
20% that did, 20% of them rushed it. I mean, just we're talking 100 plus transactions a year on average, and more and 4 plus transactions per client. That's the statistic. That's the model. So what I started thinking about is how can I get them to take action? And the key for me is I work with them one on one. I realize if I just train the masses and I'm on this side of the river and I'm yelling to them on the other side of the river and said, "Hey, swim on across the river because it's really good over here." Most of them won't do it because the fear holds them back, hesitation. Oh, it's comfortable here. I'm okay. I've got my little home and my little car and my little family, and I don't want to take any chances. Right? That's the kind of stuff I run up against. What I realize if I go over to their side of the river, right, and bring them back over arm in arm, showing them the way directly, like we call it guided training. We literally train everybody. This is crazy. I'm talking one on one,
That's
and that's what
insane.
works. That's how we have such a high product. Our team, and this is crazy, but we actually outproduce the national average of agents by more than 2 to 1. Now that's just a statistic. I always tell people, do you want to be average? You can be average if you want, or you want to be above average. You want to be in the top 20%. And I do that in the interview, by the way. We bring everybody on. We don't kick anybody out, but I always challenge them by asking them, when you look, and I show them stats. I say, look, I've got agents that haven't produced anything. I've got agents to do 4 a year, 12 a year. I've got agents to do 100 a year. Which group do you want to hang around? And then I show them the video of the eagle. You ever seen the eagle video? Yeah.
Okay, let's put, yeah,
I'll,
we'll
I'll,
put it up in the notes, guys. We'll put it in the notes.
I'll
But
share
yes,
it with
please
you.
send that to me.
Awesome video. And what the moral of the story is everyone here is capable of taking action. And I know you are. I know everybody listening to this has gone through some type of trauma in life, some type of challenge or a crisis. If you have a child and you're seeing that child ride his or her bike out towards a busy road and you know there's imminent danger, are you just going to sit there? No, you're going to run. You're going to run even if you haven't run in 5 years. Even if you haven't run since you were in high school, you're going to run to save your child. You're going to take action, right? So I know you're capable of it. Here's the lesson. You don't have to be in crisis mode to take action. Take action every single day. Like it's the best day of your life. It's the one day in your life that you're going to make a meaningful difference, right? And the only way to make that happen is you've got to take action. You know you're capable of it because you know you can do it in crisis mode. I'm not saying live life in crisis mode. What I'm saying is summon that energy, give yourself permission to live at that high level and take that high level action at any given moment. So you don't just survive this. You can survive. You don't just go through life passively in reaction mode. Be an action taker, be proactive, make things happen, create opportunities for other people. That's what's going to happen when you lead by example and you take action every single day, people will follow you. And like Zig Ziglar said famously, if you just simply help enough other people get what they want, then you'll be get plenty of what you want. So my suggestion to you is if you're a real estate agent, and I'm guessing you are, learn how to invest so you can work with investors. Help the investors get lots of investment properties. Like Zig says, help them invest. And I'm not supposed to use the word guarantee, Kevin, but I'm going to give you a guarantee. I guarantee you, you help enough investors make money, you're going to have plenty of money and the knowledge yourself to invest yourself. That's how it works.
And I'm just getting chills listening to you talk. Like, so you have this team. Are you recruiting? Like, would you, if someone was interested in like joining you or under you, like, is that even possible?
Yeah, what's funny is we don't even outbound call anymore because we have a website. I've been teaching for years. I've literally in person taught more than 24,000 people. This is over a 20-year period. But people find us through the website. We're on Facebook, all the social media channels. Um, every day we get people filling out this form. Basically it's a learn more form. And then what happens is Beverly calls them, and you literally, so you get an actual personal phone call from Beverly. All she's doing is just screening you, just to make sure you're a real person with a license. Because we get a lot of the, just like you, I'm sure, the people wanting to sell some special cream or sell something else to us, and they
Yeah.
basically use our form to do that. So So we have to do that. But then she'll say, you know what, I'm going to set you up with a call with Gary. And it's a real call with me. So everybody that comes on the team actually speaks to me. Usually it's like a half hour. And all I'm doing, Kevin, I just want to find out what their vision is. I just want to find out what are you looking to accomplish? And if they say something like, I want to be financially free. I don't want to work at my job anymore. Or I've been in real estate for 3 years and I've only had 3 transactions. I need to make more money. Or they say, you know what? I filled out that form because I want to invest. And you're the only person that's willing to teach me for free. Because nobody pays me upfront for anything. Not one dime for leads, for training, for coaching. We don't get paid unless you produce. That's the bottom line. It's a total departure from the
Yeah.
traditional training model where you pay up front whether you produce or not. So that's the thing. And when I mentioned that earlier, Kevin, it's a passion of mine that nobody pays unless they produce.
I know. I'm
And that,
laughing because do people actually call you and just want to suck from you and don't want to provide any
oh
value
yeah.
at all? They'll just
Oh,
say,
you
"Oh,
get
I'm
they used
calling
to be,
you because you're going to train me for free and nobody else will." So that's their lead in, huh?
that's pretty much it. I don't care how young or old they are, what their education is, tall, short, rich, right? It doesn't matter.
Oh, you got
What
to
I'm looking
screen that
for,
out though. You don't want that. You want someone calling you say, "I want to be rich and here's why." So
yeah,
I'm assuming, but like, so you're
yeah,
saying, how do you get someone to take action? So what I tell people, like, how are you successful? How are you able to get through those fears? Because it is the
yeah,
fear that stops you. So why would I jump in that river and somebody else wanted? Well, it really, Gary, to
yeah,
me, it comes down to my why. So
yeah,
very quickly, I don't want to steal your thunder here, but I
yeah.
lost my mother when I was just a kid, and my
Mm,
dad raised me and my brother and my sister, and he gave up everything, including his own retirement. No
hmm
savings at all, so that he could support us and bring us up in what was a lower middle class living, but we thought was middle class, right? Because he
hmm
was borrowing just to make it. So we didn't know that we were poor. And so my why was, I'm going to help him retire. He gave up his retirement for me. I'm going to retire him. Now
hmm
that's the type of why that's going to make you take the action. Just
yeah,
like going and saving the kid that's going to run into the street. So I would
yeah.
challenge you, the listener, before you call Gary, if you decide to do that, why do you want him to hold your hand across that river or go elbow to elbow with you across that river? You got to really think about what the goal is here. It's not just to get free education.
Yeah,
So I just want to
yeah.
challenge the listener before they call you. Be sure you're not just wasting someone's time here. Let's be respectful. That's all. The Real Estate Educators Podcast is brought to you by Pine Financial Group. Pine Financial Group is a private lender specializing in value-add bridge lending for real estate investors. This is accomplished by raising private money from individual investors and lending that money out in short-term real estate loans. Pine operates one of the coolest public mortgage funds on the market because it brings consistency and security to your investment portfolio without giving up on returns. The fund pays its investors a flat 8% return with monthly distributions. There is a low minimum investment and no lockup period. That's right, you can request all of your money back at any time without any fees. Diversify your portfolio out of Wall Street and into Main Street with the Pine Financial Group Public Fund PFG Fund 5. Find out more at pinefinancialgroup.com. That's pinefinancialgroup.com.
Well, the first thing we do is actually when someone comes on board, is I learned this process myself about 20 years ago when I was at scout camp. I was very blessed to have some great teachers. I mean, Jack Canfield, John Maxwell, Stephen Covey in person. I met Stephen Covey
Oh, God, you've
in
had some
person. I was a
good
kid,
ones.
23 years old, man. It was in 1989, and I was too young to appreciate who he was and what he was doing. I didn't actually start using what he taught me 2 years later. So I took the Stephen Covey approach about, determine your values first, then set your goals. You see, most programs just say, set your goals, tell me what your goals are. I'm here to
Love it.
tell you, you need to have your vision first. So we do what's called a vision exercise, and the values come out of the vision exercise. And out of the vision exercise, I showed them how to get outside their small brains, their small minds, and let their big mind take over when there's no limits. I mean, I'm sitting here on this deck with this amazing view. I mean, I literally look at the Shenandoah Valley, Skyline Drive, one ridge. The other ridge is Appalachian Trail. This is where I go up and bike and hike and all the time. So that was part of my vision 20 years ago, right? And I drew pictures of it. I wrote it down. I found pictures on the internet. I made it so real in my heart, my mind. It was going to be real. It was already real at the time. I just had to step into it. So I show people how to do that because some people they've never done that before. They never had the experience. So we do that. And the other thing we do is I train everybody one-on-one. It's literally one-on-one coaching, but we also engage with 5 different levels. So we have a morning session, get together with everybody every morning. Then we also have masterminds for different purposes, like affordable housing mastermind, commercial mastermind. Within our group, we meet bi-weekly in these masterminds. Once a week, I teach a class. We call it Monday Night Live. We now open that to the public because people kept saying, "Can I bring my neighbor? Can I bring my friend? Can I bring this other agent?" And we said, yeah, you can bring anybody you want. So now that's growing. And then we get together once a month for a team scrum. That was last night, by the way, where we do high level strategic planning at the team level. So they're engaging at 5 different levels. The bottom line is when they're swimming across the river, they are never alone. They're with me, they're with a group of 10 people, then they got the bigger group. And so when it comes to action, the reason we do it that way is if we can engage with people on multiple levels, they're more likely to take action because they know I'm taking action. I always tell people, my commitment can't be bigger than your commitment. Your commitment has got to be at least
Right.
as much as mine, right? And they know if they swim with me, I wake up, I don't even drink coffee. I've got adrenaline in my blood. I don't. You can probably tell from talking to me. So, and as a backup, we got the other people in the small group, and as backup to that, we got the group in class, and we got the whole group on the once a month call. So they are never alone in that seeing other people taking action that are where they are now and getting to the next step. I'll give you an example. Brittany Taylor just joined the team, and this was a real life person. I'm not making up the names here. Hopefully she'll hear this. Started, she's already she had her first transaction the very first week. It was a 2-ender, double ender. Now she's got another double ender coming in, and she's already helped two other people, attract other people to the team. So one of the reasons I don't have to do any outreach, I don't call anybody, I don't do any cold calling or anything, is the agents on the team are so excited they actually tell other agents. So that's that, and they come and fill out the form, and we do the interview and all that stuff. But back to the action part, don't you think it's a lot easier to take action when the guy next to you is also taking action?
Yes. Yep. And so for a lot of us,
Yeah.
until they hear you, you didn't have that person.
Mhm.
You didn't have that rich dad, socks dad. And
Yeah.
they really are on an island. So you're taking them off that island and bringing them on a much bigger island or mainland
Yeah.
maybe. But you're bringing them with you,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. I don't know anybody that has a model like that. So
Yeah.
when we first talked about bringing you on the podcast, and I wanted to hear more about how they could be, using education to help attract investors. Like what did you do to start doing
Yeah.
classes and all of that? But gosh, they could, if they want, just get a hold of you and join a team that's already have all the systems. It's like buying a franchise. You already have the systems in place. All you got to do is follow the recipe and you're
Yeah.
successful. So I do want to get into the story about how you got into the education and how that benefited you and your business. I want to ask you,
Mhm.
real estate and how did real estate change your life? But let's stay on the team for just a second. How do
Okay.
we do that? So I wrote down Monday Night Live. That's open to everybody. So that might
Yep.
be a nice soft intro into you and what you're doing. Can they join that?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's easy if you go to globalinvestoragent.com, there's a link there where you can register for Monday Night Live. It's right across the top. It's a banner that goes across. Click here, Monday Night Live, and you'll register, and they'll let you register for like up for a whole year. You got to re-register, I think, every few months or something. But totally free. There's no, and it is education focused. There's no selling, pitching, recruiting. I always tell people, hey, you can come teach my class. I'm happy to have you. And I know you may have something to sell, and I'm not opposed to that. I just want you to teach first. To teach something valuable, and then they're going to number one, they'll be interested in what you've got to sell. But it'll make more sense to them too, as far as whatever your program is. So we lead with education. When I teach, it's just straight teaching and training. That's on the website. And on the website, there's other things they can grab for free. There's free books, there's videos. I mean, there's lots of stuff there they can use to just stick their toes in the water and dabble, and make sure that it's something that they really want to get into.
That's great. So
Yeah,
globalinvestoragent.com.
correct. Yep.
globalinvestoragent.com. So please go and check that out. Sounds like tons of great free resources, including a weekly education series. Great way to get to know
Hmm.
Gary a little bit and decide, do I want to explore this one free 30-minute phone call with him and see if he could help me across that river? Because Gary's jumping in. Like, you coming or not, right? All right,
Yeah.
let's talk about you getting started in the education side. So you learned early on, it sounds like, that if you could provide value, you can earn business. So take me
Yeah.
back to, how did you get involved in
Yep.
helping other people?
Yep. So what happened is another uh, trainer, we call them gurus. He was more traditional, stand up on the stage and teaching and preaching, and people was getting a lot of money, and it worked. He had good stuff, but in any case, he invited me to be on his radio program. He looked me up, realized I had a bunch of properties, and said, you don't know me, I don't know you, but I have a weekly Saturday morning business. It was on big time radio. He said, would you come on and just share your story? And I was like, really? He said, heck yeah. I said, what do I tell me where to sign up? 8 o'clock in the morning. It was 9 in the morning on a Saturday. He called me on Monday and he said, I've received more phone calls wanting to check out my training because of that radio program on Saturday morning. I'm like, really? He said, yeah. In fact, so much so, I want you to come in and on one of my Saturdays just to come in and have lunch with the guys. I said, sure, I'd be happy to. So went in there like 2 Saturdays later, a bunch of us went out to lunch and had a good old time just chewing the fat and talking about real estate and all the crazy stories. And in any case, I went back to class. He said, you can come back if you want. So I started teaching. He said, hey, can you tell us what you do when you flip a home? I said, well, yeah, I'd be glad to. So I showed him all that. That led to me doing like a Saturday every once a month or something like that. And I liked it. I didn't get paid for it. I didn't make any money at all doing it. And but what I realized is man, this is another key moment. I call them like a God moment. What I realize is if I teach the investors how to invest, I'll get a lot more clients because I just got my license. I didn't want anybody knowing, by the way, but I thought I can make another business model out of it. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't have a formal program. I just said, look, if you want to flip, I'm going to help you flip one-on-one. If you want to buy a rental, I'm going to help you buy a rental one-on-one. They didn't just buy one flip. They didn't just buy one rental. They bought multiple flips and multiple rentals. So I never had more than like 2 dozen people I was working with at a time. That was it. And it gave me more capital to do other things. But here's the cool part. I did eventually develop training specifically for flipping and rentals and management and wholesaling and all that. And so now with the team, what I do is when someone's on the team, they automatically get all the rights to that training to share with their clients. So now my agents can help their clients become educated when it comes to investing. So when you help somebody through education, what happens is you're leading with service. You're like a servant leader. You're coming from contribution. You're giving first, and really there's no expectation of anything in return. They might buy something, they might not. But the reality is if they learn to trust you because you're actually educating them first, you're going to have a really good long-term relationship. And that's exactly what happened. That's our model. We build relationships. We don't go for the transactions. We build relationships and then transactions come as a result. But the fulfillment part, back to your original question, is I get so much pleasure from teaching people. And yes, we make money doing it. But the fulfillment is 6 months later when somebody calls and say, hey, Gary, I just want to thank you because what you taught me on that Monday Night Live back in May, I actually just used. It just worked, and I just made $75,000, and I don't know how to
Love
thank you.
it.
You know, that's the fulfillment part. When you help people build wealth and income, you got a friend for life, man. You know,
Yeah, and a friend for life is exactly it. I've got friends that I made in this business that will be friends for life. And it
yeah,
did start with education and helping them, and they start making money because of what we were doing. And gosh, you're right. It builds loyalty like nothing else. And
hmm
let's be honest, there's not a ton of loyalty in real estate. I mean, we're all buddies
yeah,
and all get along, but they're going to go to the person that's cheaper,
yeah,
whatever. So the way you build loyalty is that really to help them. With all that said, I got to tell you, I agree with you 100%. When you get that phone call or that email, sometimes I even get handwritten letters because of you. This is
Yeah.
what happened. And that's why. That really is why.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's next for you?
Well, so what I'm doing right now is the team, we're in 37 states. So now I'm teaching other people on the team how to do what I'm doing. It's sort of like self-replicating and to help them become leaders. So I started looking for who are my leaders. And I thought, well, I'm going to handpick. And then I thought, wait a second, I'm going to open it up to the whole group. So I invited everybody. I said, look, if you want to do what I'm doing, you need to let me know because I'm going to start teaching it. We developed a program to help people want to build their own teams. The way we do it, it's not just like a local team. You can have agents all over the country, just like I do. We know how to do it now because we've done it. We've already helped now about a half dozen other people do it. So that's now the next step in the journey is to develop leaders, show them how to build teams that are not just local but national in scale with a client base that's national. And it's so easy to do. I mean, I was able to do this in 3 years. This team that I'm running now, we just started 3 years ago, right? From scratch. So there's other people underneath it now already have teams of, 20 and 30 people just starting out. So I'm really excited about that because it's like, that's my legacy. The thing that everything has led to, all my experience, all that learning has led to this moment. And it's the first time in my life where I'm completely letting go of everything and giving everything to these people. Nobody, I do get earn portions of commissions from the agents that come on initially for a short period of time. It's not permanent. I don't take a permanent split, guys. It's just a little referral fee for an average of 8 transactions, and you're done. You can stay as long as you want, and you're no more paying me that referral fee. Um, but the people at the level that are team building, they don't even, there's a 5% thing you have to pay for it's like pays the light bills. There's fees for all these things. We have a lead generating platform we pay for. We have all the trainings on a training platform. All that stuff has to be paid. We got 5 employees. So that 5%, that's the permanent part, that pays for all the overhead. We don't make money on that. But in any case, now all these I've got these a dozen people out there now doing what I'm doing. We literally just started it about a month or two ago, and it's already working. We're already getting results. The first week, um, 4 people added a person each to their teams in 1 week. Now it's 2 people per week, and they get all the training. Everything is in there. So I'm literally giving everything I've learned and developed over the last 37 years to the people on my team so they can carry forward. Now, I'm not going to stop. I've got at least 3 more books I've identified I'm going to write. I've written 9 so far. I've got 3 more that I've got the outlines for. I want to do that. And, I'll just be honest with everybody. I'm actually here caring for my mother, right? She's 85 years old and she's needs help. So I'm doing that. And thank goodness I have the business model I have because I wouldn't be able to do that. If I had a regular job, we'd have to put her in a home. That's not what we want to do. So we're keeping her here. We're doing that. And also, the traveling is a big thing for me too. I love to travel. I've seen the entire United States, most of Canada, about half of Europe, well, most of Europe. And my goal is to spend time and learn about other peoples and other cultures and all the 7 continents. Well, at least 6, because one of them, is covered in ice. So, but that's the big vision. And really, my mission statement in life, I keep this card with me. Let me whip this out here real quick. I'll show you this. So I look at my vision every single day. All right. So that's my mission, my one statement. And I'll
It's
read what it
it's a
says.
little
I want
note
to,
card. Yes, for
yep,
everyone that's not watching, you can see it. It's just like a note card with a
yep.
pen, like handwriting on it.
And what it says is, I will improve the life of every person I meet in life. I'll improve the life of every single person I meet. So that's my mission. And so when I'm out there, I call it teaching and preaching. I know people want me to teach them how to make money, and I know what they need too. What I learned was if I try to sell what they need, they won't do it. But if I give them what they want, right, then they're more willing to be open to listen to what I know that they need. So
Oh,
that it's
that's
not just
interesting.
a
So
transaction.
that was
Yep,
really good. That was really, really good. Can we say that
yep,
one more time? Because I like that a lot.
yep.
If you
Um,
give them
people,
what you want, what they want. Okay, say it
yep,
again. Your words.
give people what they want And then they'll learn to know you, like you, and trust you, and realize that you've got their best interest at heart. But give them what they want, and then give them what they need, because
And
what
give
they
what you,
need is not just how to do a transaction. What they need is a mission statement for themselves. They need that they understand their values. They got to have a vision. They got to have a real passion, and the passion is going to come from helping others do that very same thing that you're doing. It's like Zig Ziglar said, you just help enough other people do what you want, you'll get plenty of what you want. In real estate, it's easy because you help people buy real estate, and you're going to be able to buy real estate. But there's an inner part of this that comes from giving and serving. So when you learn that, and everybody has to learn it at their own pace and their own time. It took me a lot of years. In my early years, guys, it was all about me. When God hit me upside the head with a 4x4, he didn't use a 2x4 on me because my head's thick. He did a 4x4 multiple times. I turned it around, and I went from the inside to the outside. So everything I do is um, pushing out, giving out, and serving others. And you become what we call a servant leader. You lead by service. The greatest leaders in the world were always the ones who served their people. I mean, just look in history. Look at Martin Luther King. Look at Gandhi. You know, Jesus. If you're whether you believe in he was the Messiah or not, he was a literal human being, and he served people. I mean, there's a lot. Mother Teresa. There's all kinds of examples. Nelson Mandela. My gosh, I could go on and on. Be a servant leader, and you'll be happy every day of your life. I can promise you that.
yeah, this is really good. So I'm gonna take some notes here and write some of this down. I love the note card, and that's obviously you talked earlier about leading with your value and getting your values
Mhm.
before your goals. That was fantastic advice. I learned that too, not that long ago, actually, only like maybe 3 years ago.
Mhm.
I learned that one. And I love how you follow what you're preaching, and so many people don't do that. So appreciate you
Mhm.
doing that. Just a couple more questions. 'Cause I know we gotta wrap this up, but um, I don't ask this a lot, but you're so open, I could tell, and you've had so
Mhm.
much success. Can you tell me about maybe a mistake you've made and something that you see maybe you make it or other people are making it, and like what is it,
Yeah.
and how do you avoid it or how do you learn from it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. If I wrote a book on all the mistakes I've
I
made,
know
it'd be
that's
the
a tough
biggest book
question.
I've ever written.
Yeah.
You know, and I've made some doozies, guys. Let me tell you. I mean, easily, definitely several six-figure financial mistakes, and probably a big seven-figure one when I sold things I shouldn't have sold properties. But really, I'd say the biggest mistake people make is trying to control things, trying to control the circumstances, control the events, control the outcome. Basically, it always usually comes down to manipulation. You're trying to manipulate events to serve you. When you have your vision and you set your goals and you just commit to taking action, when you commit to taking action, your path's gonna meander. I don't care how good your plan is. I plan every single day. I'm the biggest planner you ever meet. But part of my plan is in pen because it doesn't change. The other half is in pencil because I know it's going to change. So just accept the fact that the path you're going to go down is not going to be the path you think. But I promise you, if you have that vision so clear in your heart and your mind, and your goals are so precise, you can see that house you want, every square inch. How many go into the bathroom, go into the kitchen, going out to the back deck. I mean precisely. Okay, and you keep taking action every single day in spite of what's going to happen, you're going to get a flat tire, your child's going to need braces, your mother's going to fall down, things are going to happen. But when you got that vision and you have those goals so crystal clear, and you know every action step you got to take, I don't care how many bad things happen to you, you are always going to get back on track and get back on the path to achieving your goals. It's going to help you realize your vision. So the answer there, back to the original answer, is surrender. Learn how to surrender. Doesn't mean give up. It means surrender attachment to the outcome. You got to have faith and you got to take action. Those are the two things you need: faith and action. Forget controlling and manipulating. It's going to kill you. Focus on faith and action. Faith in your vision and belief in your action is going to get you to your vision through your goals. That's it. Lot said there, but that the mistake is trying to manipulate and control. It'll kill relationships. It'll kill business deals. It'll make you unhealthy. So learn to let go of that. You know.
Love it. love it. Gosh, I could just feel the passion when you're answering these questions. I'm loving this. So one more, and then we're going to get your contact information, anything else you want to share with us. But I know I'm excited for this one because of the passion you have. So tell me, what has real estate done for you?
Oh my gosh, it actually gave me the foundation upon which I was able to do everything else, right? So I built the foundation first. I didn't know that's what I was doing. I thought I'm just buying real estate and generating cash flow. But I leveraged the foundation to launch these other businesses. And I'd even mentioned the Healing House Foundation. We did that last year. We launched the Healing House Foundation to raise funds for people in need of housing or need of funding for housing. And so I'm able to do that because of real estate. I've been able to travel all over the world because of real estate. I'm able to, sit here and serve my mother in her last years because of real estate. Real estate gave me the foundation for everything else.
It's awesome. Love it. All right. How do we get a hold of you?
Probably the best thing is we do have two websites. The original website, it's Real Estate with Gary Wilson, which I don't like the name, but the Google gurus said, well, they're searching for your name and they're searching for real estate. And the word with is a very highly searchable word. So we suggest you make it Real Estate with Gary Wilson. So you go there, you get all kinds of free content, information, training. That's for everybody. That's what everybody sees. The one for the agents specifically and the investors looking for agents to serve them is globalinvestoragent.com. And because of where we are, I'm not going to predict the future, but I want every agent to really pay attention to this. Man, make investing part of your model with your license. You leverage your license to serve owner occupants and investors. All you need to do is learn a terminology and a methodology. I may be the only one to teach. I don't know. You teach yourself however you do it. I'm happy to teach it, but learn to make that part of your model. And that's the globalinvestoragent.com website. And you'll see on there how to get a hold of me. I'll give you my personal email, by the way, if you want. It's Gary, Gary at rewgw.com. And the REWGW is the initials for Real Estate with Gary Wilson. And if you want a lot more free stuff, go to YouTube, go to Real Estate with Gary Wilson YouTube channel. We've got, I think, 16 playlists, several hundred videos. I mean, we really do just give it all away. But most people, they want that one-on-one coaching when they see all that stuff. So I'm happy to do it. There's me, there's Rob Lane, Gina Hansen. Gina Hansen was one of the top 25 Keller Williams team leaders in the country. And I used to work for her, by the way. She's on the team coaching. She helps the residential side. I do the investor side. And Rob Lane is a former Air Force pilot. He's a trainer, and he trains everybody coming in the door on the forms. How do you fill them out? Where do you load them up? All that stuff. That's what he does. And he's patient like your dad. He's like your maybe patient like your granddad. How about that? So we got it down to a science, and I hope other people will model this because I think it's necessary in our industry. The way the market's going, I'm telling you, there's going to be more renters, and it already is, but that means there's going to be more landlords. Somebody's got to serve them. It might as well be you,
Love it. All right. So if you're listening, Monday Night Live at the globalinvestoragent.com. Gary gave out his his email. We're going to put that in the notes, or we're probably edited in on the YouTube channel. Maybe it'll come across right here. Reach out to him. Sounds like he could help you if you're looking for growing your real estate agent business with real estate investor clients. That sounds like it's the exact niche that he's doing. Yep. So be sure to reach out to him. Gary, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's probably pretty tough for you on that 1,200-foot deck, but I really appreciate you sitting out there with me. I had a great time, man. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it, Kevin. I appreciate the opportunity to teach and serve, and I'm grateful. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll catch you on the next one. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you did, please be sure to follow and leave us a review. Oh yeah, and tell a friend.